welcome again. Thanks so much for joining us. Shop Talk, we're here talking with Zuant, and I want to just kind of lay down some guidelines before we go ahead and get started. You have a chat. I see that Samuel has already said hi. Hi, Samuel. Go ahead and feel free to use that to chat amongst yourselves. We're all here to share and learn. So I like to see these as a sort of meetup. So by all means, use the chat for that. If you do have a question specifically for myself, for Pete or Dave who are with us, Zuant 3D, then please go ahead and use the Q&A panel for that. You're all familiar with Zoom. They're all down there in your Zoom panel. You can go ahead and open them up. So hi, everybody. Thanks again for joining us, and let's go ahead and get started. So today we have with us Zuant and Pete Gillett with Zuant is here, and Dave Hickson is here as well. I hope. I just saw his video cut, so hopefully he'll be back soon. But let's get started with Pete. Hi, Pete. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. Very excited to learn about Zuant. This is a Matterport platform partner, and you guys have been around for longer than you've been, with Matterport. So I just want to kind of get that story and what it is that you do. Let's hear about Zuant and what it is that Zuant does and how you can help Matterport customers.
Excellent. Thanks, Amir. Great to be on today. So yeah, we're pretty excited about this because we're fairly new partners to Matterport, as you say. This all really came about because of the pandemic. So we were sort of a couple of months into the pandemic, and all of our sort of traditional exhibitor clients were obviously mothballed pretty quickly. And so we found ourselves having to work with these hybrid events. So the event organizers for big trade shows and exhibitions quickly came up with sort of quick, fake 3D type online hybrid events to try and keep their income going and keep their exhibitors happy. But within a few weeks, we were getting grumbles from clients saying, well, we might have had a few good leads, but the volume just wasn't there, and this isn't going to work. So we were sort of on hold, and then it was one of those sort of things, chance happening. It sometimes happens in our business careers, isn't it? Just a spark was a call from a major aircraft manufacturer who's been recommended to talk to us and said, oh, here's Zuant, it's all about 3D, and you'll be able to host 3D for us. We've got these great aircraft interiors we want to present to an audience who can't go to, it's either Farnborough or Paris Air Show. And so well, it's a really cool idea, but sorry, we can't help you. But once we started to think about this and chatting to Dave, who's with us today, our CTO, we thought, hold on a second, as this pandemic rumbles on, this could be something. And it was just amazing to just have that trigger. So we quickly, spent a few weeks researching the market, alighted on Matterport. And you guys obviously have got all of the infrastructure, the hardware, the photographers around the globe, well established, and one of the most important things to us is the quality of the 3D scans. So we jumped on board in about June 2020, and it's amazing to think that we're into year 3 of our tech development with you. So exciting times now, thank goodness.
Yeah, for sure. So taking a small step back, basically Zuant, what you've been doing prior to your collaboration with Matterport is lead generation. Is that fair?
Yes, exactly. I mean, our overall group goes way back. It was founded in 1982. And at the core, as you suggest, it's all about lead management. And response handling for campaigns has been a core part of the business through a call center network around the world. So about 20 contact centers, about 15,000 agents being used to handle all sorts of inbound and outbound contact center activities. And our business has always been about lead qualification, ensuring salespeople follow up their leads, producing reports, presenting the data. And the trade show lead handling side developed as a successful strand of all of that about 10 years ago. The launch of the iPad, I think back in 2010, stimulated that even further as the ideal platform to base our Zuant app on. And so that continues to be used now that events are back all around the world for scanning badges, capturing leads. And then Zuant Cloud is there to manage, to be in the background, handling responses from, the call center, from badge scans, all the way through to linking to CRM and marketing automation platforms. So we already had all that infrastructure in place, and it was just quite logical to be able to then plug the Matterport Zuant 3D product into that existing infrastructure. So that allowed us to develop pretty quickly.
Yeah, did the kind of adoption and utilization of Matterport's platform, with Zuant 3D, did that expand your customer base, or do you find that the same sort of customers, because we're talking about trade show and booths and things like that, we talked a little bit about in previous conversations how a trade show, it's only there for 3 days, right? There's a ton of energy and expense put into this 3-day event roughly, and a lot of people can't make it there. So here's a way that you are able to do using kind of Matterport to kind of get that going forever, right? They can just keep it on their website and allow visitors to come to their booth virtually. But before trade shows and that kind of that spark that you said, was your customer base different than it is today? Did this expand, or did they just kind of deepen their use of Zuant?
So no, it's certainly part of it would be our existing customer base, where we're expanding those clients out into new areas because of Matterport. But overall, we see over the next 12 months, it will greatly expand our business away from pure trade shows and exhibitions.
Yeah. So who have been using, what sort of customers, now that you're offering this Zuant 3D, this kind of virtual experience with kind of lead gen embedded on top, what sort of customers are you seeing, and not just trade shows? Who else is using it?
So all sorts of industries. So automotive, for instance, car showrooms. We'd see it going into retail, into fashion, travel and hospitality. So, how great it will be with booking a vacation to go in and choose the actual room with the balcony and the sea view that everyone's going to be happy with back at home, and know with confidence that you're going to get what you've booked. Or you might be a conference organizer and you need to look at their facilities and be able to hop from location to location to see if it's going to suit your sales conference. And yes, it's endless. I mean, it's really exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the listeners are either going to be coming from an industry like T&H, or retail, where they themselves want the leads. But a lot of listeners are also providing Matterport as a service. Do you see, or can you recommend to them, to the kind of the Matterport service provider community, how they can take advantage of Zuant 3D to kind of bring that as an offering to their customers?
Yes, for sure. I think, initially we saw the obvious thing to do was plug in the lead management side, because that's always been our core business. We've got the whole platform to do that. And, going back to one of your traditional markets, like the real estate market, to know who's gone to look at a property, exactly when they left, and exactly what they looked at, and on your phone as an estate agent, to have that information right there, to be able to call them, or what did you think? It accelerates that lead. So lead management was certainly one of the first things to develop, and then navigation we worked on at the same time, because for some of your scans, they're absolutely huge, and you could end up spending as much time as you would physically wandering around the building. So to have the navigation in place for lots of different applications, for instance, hospitals, they can be nerve-wracking. You've got an appointment, you're not quite sure where you're going to go. Well, it would just be logical to be able to go into a Matterport space, see the hospital scan, go to the reception, look at the board, have the navigation to say, right, I'm going for a blood test, click on that nav, and be taken across the lift, the right floor, to the reception. And then maybe there's some forms to complete at that point. So you could do a lot online before you even went for your appointment. So it's just things like that, really. I think lead management and navigation is the starting point. And today we're excited to show you the next stage, which is what we call radar. And
I've had really, a chance.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to play around with it. Very, very exciting. It was very cool to be in a model and kind of see the Zuant backend, me in that model, and it's super cool. I want to actually take this moment. Dave is here with us from Zuant, so let's check it out. I mean, this is really, really cool. I think seeing it actually in action speaks volumes. So let's do that.
Okay.
Let's see here.
So you can tell Dave's into his bikes. So
okay. Afternoon, folks. So
this
Pete's talked about having...
This is your personal collection, Dave?
One day it will be.
All right.
Sadly, not at the moment. Pete mentioned having great big spaces. This is quite a small space. There's lots of tasty kit in here. And I'm just showing you initially the Matterport space. So there's no Zuant in here. This is just the space. And I can wander about in this space looking at these bikes. But one of the things that we want to try and do with Zuant 3D is to contextualize space, to allow the visitor to understand what's on offer more than just wandering around. So this is the space that we're going to be looking at. Let's go and look at it from the perspective of Zuant 3D. So I'll just click on another tab. Now, this is Zuant. And when you land in a Matterport space, the first thing that's going to happen, if you haven't seen it before, is this dialog will pop up just to grab some details. Okay, so we'd like to know, in terms of lead capture, we need to know who the individual is. So this form will pop up when you first enter the space, fill that in, agree to compliance, and click on the Let's Get Going button. So now we're dropped into the same space, but now we have a black box on the right-hand side. Okay. The black box is where we put all of our functionality. So the first thing we have here is some nav. So we've just landed, and we've got some pathways that we've created. We've got Super Dukes, Retro Zone, Adventure Bikes. And I can click on one of these links. That will then take me down the pathway to that particular location. So if I click on the Retro Zone in the black box, swings us round, takes us down. And for those people that know their bikes, these are slightly retro. These are quite good fun, not great performance, but never mind. Good fun to ride. So we know that we're in the Retro Zone. The black box updates. So when we arrive somewhere, it knows where we are, and it's saying it's a bit more of a laid-back riding experience. You can put as much content as you like into the black box. This gives you more information about what you're looking at. So it's now changed to give me some different links as well. So I've got a link to Adventure Bikes in the black box. If I click on that link now to Adventure Bikes, again, it's going to nav me down to the Adventure Bikes section. I can now have a look at these Adventure Bikes. Black box again has updated. So any terrain, any load. Again, I don't have a lot of information in here, but you could put quite a lot of content about what you're looking at. So that gives you an idea of the navigation capabilities of the black box. But we know who landed here, and we know what they're up to. We can track their activity. Okay. So one of the things that we're doing here is we're capturing a sales lead as this individual wanders around. And let's go and have a look at the Zuant side of things now, the nerve center. So here we have, this is what the client would be looking at. So the person who's running that showroom, and they just get a whole list of leads. This is move this out of the way. Refresh the screen. And if you look at the top, then we've got this individual, and Violet. It's the individual that's been wandering around in space. On the far right, we see the status column. This lead is in progress. Okay, we've got 8 activities. If I click on this lead, then we see it's only Violet coming on 3rd of May. And we landed in the experience. We consented to terms and conditions, went to the repro zone, went to Adventure Bikes, looked around in the adventure zone. So everything that the visitor is doing is being captured. Each step that they take, each movement of the camera, we're capturing that as a distinct activity. And then we wrap it all up into a sales lead. And you can just look at the summary for this, see how long they were in there, how many steps they took, and so forth. And we can also push this to your inbox. We can push it to Salesforce, or we can show a CRM you're running. So these sales leads can just be gathered up as the visitors are moving around, pushed wherever you want them. So that's the first sort of feature, if you like, of Zuant 3D, is to show you this. So you're contextualizing the space for the visitors, you're tracking their activity, creating sales leads. That's stage 1. So moving on, let's go and have a look at Radar, because it is the coolest thing in the system. So menu at the top, we've got Radar. Let's click on that. What Radar does is it gives us a view into all of the visitors in a particular space. So we can see here, what I'll do is let's resize these. And what you'll have to do here is understand that on the right, this is our visitor. So it's a completely different person on their desktop. They're seeing what we're currently looking at here is the Ducati multi-slider, quite nice. And they're moving around in space. And on the left-hand side, this is what the agent would be looking at, the client. So nothing to do with the visitor. It's a different computer altogether. And they can watch as Anya moves around in space. So if I was to just move the camera here, then you can see that the radar screen updates. We only have one visitor in here for this demo, but we could have a lot of visitors on the radar screen. And as each one moves around in the space, so really right in here, and that radar screen is updating to show exactly what the visitor is looking at. We've also got a score. So again, look across to the left, we can see the radar snapshot. It is showing Anne Violet, score of 13 at the moment. If I make one step, then we'll see that bump up to 14 because you get a point per step that you take. Okay. And this is just showing us what's going on. So the nifty thing that we can do now is we think Anya looks like quite a tasty prospect here, spending a bit of time in the space, looking at some nice things. So why don't we drop in on them? So if I come over up to the left-hand side, and I hover over the snapshot, then I can start a video call with Anya. I need to try and move these over there. Let's move these down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the icon that we see in the snapshot over on the left, the Start Video icon. And when I click that, then we'll glance across to the right-hand side. The black box at the moment says, please keep exploring. That will rotate round and present an invitation for a video call. So I'll click that Start Video icon on the left now. You can see the black box rotates round, and the agent that we have on the left-hand side is called Guy Martin. Guy Martin is inviting to video chat. So Anya sees this and decides, yeah, go on then, and clicks the accept button. So on the right-hand side now, we have the accept button. I'll click that. Okay. And we can see that it's giving Anya a preview in her black box. And over on the left-hand side, we now see pop-up Anya Violet accepted the video chat invitation. Okay. And here I've got a button, Start Video Call. On the left-hand side, I'll click the Start Video Call button. What that's going to do is going to open another browser tab, another window on the left-hand side. I'll do that now. Start Video Call opens up into the same experience, basically. For Zuant, we call these experiences because we've added all the nav and capabilities and so forth. So it opens up, black box swivels round, and now we see Guy. So we have Guy on the left-hand side, we have Anya on the right-hand side, and they have video previews at the moment. So they can just check that everything's fine to go into a call. And we've got the join call button in the black box. So I'll now click on join call. Let's do that for Guy. He's now waiting for Anya to come in. Anya's side, let's join the call. So we've clicked on both of those, and they'll just be dropped into the call. And there we are. So now there's a video conversation going on whilst these two individuals are looking at the same experience. So that video call can unfold. This would be any product information, anything you like, really. It's someone who knows the space, understands the product, dropping in on a visitor and helping them with their inquiries, with their product journey and so forth. One of the neat things that we're doing here is once the call has been established, then the two sessions are mirrored. So as the agent, if I thought, well, chatted to Anya and I reckon she might be into the adventure bikes. So on the left-hand side, as the agent, I'm going to move around, I'm going to navigate. I'm moving the screen on the left-hand side, I'm going to go down to adventure bikes. And what's happening is that Anya's screen is also moving, and all of the movement and navigation is being mirrored. So let's show her the multistrada. Then we can chat to her about this product. So that mirrored activity, whatever the agent does, will be mirrored across to the visitor. And actually, whatever the visitor does will also be mirrored across to the agent. So we could give the visitor control, but they both have control at the same time here. That's the current product. So we could just say to the visitor, well, why don't you just have a look around and ask me questions? So we don't have, as the agent, we don't have to drive. We can get the visitor to drive, but our session will be mirrored. So we're seeing exactly what they're seeing whilst we're chatting to them. So it just gives a wonderful interactive session, and it's layered on top. All of the activities being captured into the sales lead. So this is, we feel this is quite a tasty capability to add to Matterport. It's adding a lot of value to your Matterport scans. Once the call's done, so either party, if we look at the black box, let's go across to Andy's side on the right. Top of the black box, we have the leave chat icon. So I can click on that leave chat icon. Sure, you want to leave chat. Yeah, let's click on the leave button. Chat has ended for Anya. Let's click the OK button. Fair enough. Come across the left-hand side, the agent, Guy, has been informed visitor chat has concluded. The only option at this point is to close the tab that we're on, so I'll click the close this tab button. And it drops us back into Radar. Now, the other thing we can do here, so we initiated that as the agent. We thought, let's drop in on Anya, see if she wants some help, add value to her visit. But Anya could also do that proactively from her side. So come across back to the right in the black box. We look down to the bottom, there's some little icons down there. And one of those is chat to an agent. So if I click that, black box swings round again. Now I can start video. So I'll click the start video button. So yes, we've requested some assistance. I then look across to the left-hand side now. This radar snapshot is now flashing blue. You might need to make that a bit lighter, I think. But it's flashing to say someone's requested help. So we can now come over to the left-hand side, hover on this, and click on the start video icon, which I'll do now. Okay, start video call. Same sequence now. So we're going to join this call on both sides. Swivels round, there's the preview. Join the call. On both sides, now in the same spot. And you can start to ask questions. So the agent can initiate things, or the visitor can initiate things either side. And again, she could be moving around and say, oh, can you tell me about, take them down to the best bike in the showroom. So that's that one there. KTM Super Duke 1290R, that's the one to have, if you're wondering. And sale done. Let's terminate the call now from the agent side. So we have that option again to leave chat. Let's leave. And on the right hand side is informed, yeah, chat is ended. Okay, fair enough, dropped back. Close the tab on the left hand side for the agent, drop back into Radar. We're back in Radar, but as Anya continues her journey through the showroom, let's go back and have a look at the retro bikes. And you can see that the Radar snapshot of the agent on the left is now showing what Anya is looking at. And we can have as many of these snapshots. I thought it'd be a bit simpler to just have the one visitor going on their own, but you can have many visitors in here and be observing. You'll see where each visitor is. It will update in real time to show you what they're looking at, show you what their lead score is, and then you can drop in on them. The other thing you can be just to mention it. Here's a screen capture that I grabbed earlier on. We've got Anya in the middle, but you can also fire up text chats with people. And that means that one agent can cope with several chats, whereas with video, obviously, you can only have a one-to-one. With text chat, we could fire up a number of different text chats at the same time. This is what that looks like. So you can have multiple snapshots engaged in text chat at the same time. So that's our tour really of Radar. Radar just allows you to observe the visitors. Black box allows you to give them a very contextualized understanding of what the space has on offer. Completely configurable. It's really easy to configure. There's what you see is what you get editor. You can create your pathways. To create a pathway, you just walk along the path. And then it records it and says, yeah, fine, got that. It's very easy to use. And then the Radar just operates on its own. Nothing terribly difficult about it. Just watch your visitors, see what they're up to. You can have as many spaces as you like, as many Zuant experiences as you like, and they will appear down the sidebar on the left-hand side. So you can have multiple spaces. You might have, if you're an estate agent, for example, you could have multiple properties. and you could just have this open on a monitor and observe your visitors as they wander around different properties. When you see someone a bit tasty, then you can engage them with text chat or video chat.
I was going to ask about actually using multiple digital twins, right? Let's say you are a hotel chain and you've got many locations, not just the one. How does that come up? Do you see in the kind of the white square that I'm looking at on the left side there, do you see a bunch of visitors, or do I need to first select the active radar on the very left in order to see what's happening within that specific twin?
Well, I'll click on the far left. We see the empty box with the plus sign, and let's click that. Now, these are available radars. This is now, I've configured these. These are all of the spaces that I have in my account. So I've got lots of different spaces, and I can just add in these spaces. They'll appear down in my sidebar. So I've got multiple spaces now. I don't have any visitors in there. So it's not going to show you the snapshots.
Can we test this? I mean, I don't know if I'm not going to pressure anybody to go on site, but if you provide a link in the chat, can our attendees, can I just go there and we see how this works, or is it not set up that way?
Well, we could try it. Let's go to our lead capture spaces. This is our test system, by the way. Let's choose Elysium because that's quite nice. So this is all of the experiences. This is your main menu if you like, your experiences where you can create new experiences and configure them all up. So I've got one called Elysium and the ellipsis menu. If I click on that, I can copy the public URL. So let's copy that public URL. Before I wasn't expecting this one. Let's go and see what happens. So I think I'll drop in on it first here. Actually, yes.
And there was a question that I noticed. This is actually a good kind of segue to that question. I saw something about how the links work. Is it just a native Matterport link? No, you have to set up one of these kind of Zuant 3D pages and bring your Matterport link into that. And then what you're actually sharing with your public or embedding on your website is the Zuant 3D link that gets generated as a result. Is that right?
Yes, once you've created your Matterport space, then you just need the reference, the model reference really to that, or the share link to that. So you plug it into Zuant, and then the thing that you share is the Zuant link. I would click on that. You can see here that we've got Fred Firefox. This is test user. So this is also interesting because this is a full screen Zuant experience. So there's no black box. It's an option to say I don't want the black box. I just want to have my Matterport space in there. So minimal setup. Let's check this place out. So looking at the kitchen here, let's go have a look at our radar. So that's Fred Firefox. So that link that I've got, okay, my clipboard. Should I put that in the chat, in the Q&A? I mean, where would you
chat is good.
Okay, so if you look at the link, it's test3ds.com, so it's like a big number after it. So if anyone would like to click on that. We should see those people.
Live testing.
Yeah, this okay, so I'm gonna, so it came up with a little form. I'm gonna put in my name, email, and company, agree, and let's go. Okay, so once I'm in here, there I am right there. That's awesome. And as I look around, it's qualifying me, the more I look around, I can see my number there just went up to 8. Is that right?
Yeah. Each step you take. And again, this is it's quite embryonic. Lead score that you see going up as you move around, very simplistic. It's 1 point per step. But we've got plans. For example, if you're looking at a Super G car and you spend more than 3 minutes looking at it, then we'll give you 10 points. Or if you're gazing out at the sea view from the Elysium house, then we'll give you 20 points. There are different things that we could do to bump up your points. And we can sort this. For example, we look across to the far right. We're sorting on arrival date at the moment, which is why you would appear far left. Okay. But we can sort these according to other information. We're looking at building quite a lot of capability into the radar. If you sorted it on arrival date, it means the people that have just arrived would be at the top of the list because you might want to welcome them. We could have a filter where it would only show people who have been in the space for more than 5 minutes because they're the only people who are interested. When people drop in, drop out again, they don't even want to see them on the radar. And there's a whole host of filters that we're planning. Notice the one at the top in our sidebar, Dorado Men 2. That means that we need to have a number of people in the space before any of them appear on the radar. And you can just imagine all sorts of scenarios where our clients, depending upon their requirements, they want to tune the radar. So you can have multiple spaces. We're seeing multiple spaces here, but we also might want to fine tune what's appearing on our radar screen so that we're going to have very targeted opportunities to actually engage with those visitors.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of makes sense that the more time I spend in this model, the more interested I am.
Yeah.
And if those get rated higher, you as an agent have a much better understanding of who you should kind of go after. First, that's awesome. This is really great. I love this demo. I love how it's live. I don't know. This is the ability for multiple people to be in the same model or even different models, and one agent being on the back end with radar and really able to track everything that's going on throughout a portfolio of digital twins.
It's pretty nifty, isn't it?
Yeah. Very, very cool.
But also the fact that it's recording all of that, it's not just in real time, but it's recording it behind the scenes and wrapping it up into a sales lead. So, for example, all of this could be being pushed into Salesforce.
So, and if it happens after hours, something like that, when there are no agents, looking live at the radar, you're not losing those leads.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant. I love this tool. When I played around with it myself, I opened up a couple models, and I like how, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to get from me getting in here also, is just to kind of give an idea of, it's not just the one, you can have a whole bunch. Pete, we talked about this. You had, you told me a story about how, it was like 1,000, I don't remember. It was a big number of these.
Yeah.
If it was a trade show or something like that, where a lot of people were coming in because they weren't able to make it to the booth itself.
Sure. No, exactly. And in the exhibition industry, you might, on a 3-day show, get 2,000 or 3,000 leads. Well, using a Matterport scan, you could keep that live for months afterwards, and maybe double or treble the number of leads. People visiting, salespeople using it to present to customers who couldn't attend. And Event Tech Live in Vegas last week, we did a complete Matterport scan at every, the whole exhibition area, every single booth. And that's going to be ready at the end of this week, complete with the theatre presentations. So it's going to be fascinating to see the number of visitors. who, we all love to go to Vegas, but not everyone in the world can do. And there's some leading edge tech being demonstrated. So I think they'll probably get more visitors to the Matterport scan than they do in real life. So that's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody can get on site, and not everybody wants to get on site. I mean, I've been to those conferences. It's pretty madness.
Yeah, it's also very eco. So rather than why does everyone have to fly into Vegas?
Yeah,
we stay at home, save the planet, but still go to the exhibition.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Okay. So that's great. I mean, Radar, you said, is a very new addition to the Zuant 3D offering.
Hot off the press. Hence if you look up at the address bar, the word test appears quite a lot, because I'm running all of this in a test environment. So we have a fully fledged test environment in AWS. We're running all of this stuff. But we're looking for beta partners at the moment. So we'd like to run a beta program to this, just to make sure that the flows that we have in the user interface and so forth work well. So it's pretty much ready to go. Sometime next month, we'll be looking at having this in production.
Very good. Okay, let's dive into a couple questions. We only have about a little bit more than 15 minutes left. So I did want to tackle some of these. How do you protect the digital twin from access outside of your interface? So I've got, the Zuant kind of embedded on my website. People can virtually visit my showroom, and I'm in the back capturing leads. There's this thing where you can press the letter U on your keyboard. It's not super popular, but some people may know that. And with time, that kind of may get more popular, where it gets you a deep link, and then, I've extracted the direct Matterport link. How do you protect against something like that? How accessing the direct Matterport link and kind of bypassing Zuant?
I don't actually know the answer to that question.
I know some use. I know it's possible because I've seen some platform partners do that, where you press the letter U and it's actually not a Matterport link. So I'm not sure.
Sure. I mean, you have to give permissions to your Matterport space. So you can lock down your space so that no one can see it. And I imagine that if you do that, then we're using the API, we're using Matterport's low-level API to do what we do. So if you've locked down your space so that nobody can see it, then one imagines that there'll be a straightforward way for us to provide some security credentials to get into that space. With Zuant, you can also password protect with Zuant Experience, so people have to know the password to get in there. So I think we'd be able to sort that out so that things were locked down appropriately for people.
Yeah, it's definitely something that can be done if there's any kind of security concern. I would say I'm guessing, because as you said, this is pretty hot off the press. What's a good way for somebody, with us today to reach out to you with more questions about stuff like that?
Simply just go to our website and put a request in, and we'll be delighted to connect and discuss any other applications and answer other questions in more detail.
Okay, so Zuant.com or Zuant3D.com?
No, our new 3D website went live last week, so Zuant3D.com.
Zuant3D.com. Perfect. And just go there, go to contact us and fill out the form.
Indeed. And also the lead tracking is available at no charge. So if you've already got various Matterport scans, you want lead tracking, then it's very easy to set that up through the website. So come on board, give it a try. And that'll even ping you the leads from any Matterport spaces you've got. So it's all fully automated.
That's great. So they just go to Zuant 3D and they can actually just test it out. It doesn't,
Indeed.
There's no cost.
No cost at all. Gets better and better.
It does. That's brilliant.
You can set it up so that the lead just gets pinged straight into your inbox. So once you're set up, then just sit back and then you'll.
So you don't even have to actively go into the back end all the time. Every time there's a lead, you just automatically get pinged.
Yep. So you just see this sort of thing. So it just sends an email like to know that Annie Violet has completed a visit. This is what she did. So that comes in, and that's just the information that's also available in the lead if you do want to log in. It's just in your inbox.
Brilliant. So you know already exactly, how much time they're spending in each area, what they're kind of looking at without having been there and seeing it live. It's all documented.
Yeah.
Wow. And all that is free.
Yeah.
It's almost too good to be true. Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. That's great. Let me pull up some questions here. So we can tackle these.
The black box isn't free, and the agent interaction isn't free, but the lead capture, just people wandering around, emails it into your inbox. That's free.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's great. I mean, lead gen is obviously a big deal in every industry. If you're selling something, you need leads.
Sure, and it's great at lead capture because there's the fact that it's tracking. You don't get this in real life. Someone comes into a trade show booth and they're wandering about and spending 5 minutes looking at this little widget and only 30 seconds looking at another widget. You don't really have that information in the real event, but you do have it with Zuant 3D. Exactly how long they were looking at whatever it is. But it's also, as Pete said, to answer your question earlier on about what are the industries. So the fact that we can create this context for the space, give guided navigation, have interactivity, really, it's not just sales leads, it's absolutely anything at all where people are interested in stuff and they don't actually want to get into their car or jump on a plane. They can just go and have a look around at all manner of different things. But think about all the different Matterport scans that exist. It's just a ton of them. It's all fantastic.
Yeah, really impressive. And you're definitely right. I mean, certainly for retail, I know because you can't track a lot of times what retail stores are using Matterport for is kind of in the back end. Their own design team uses it to lay out a space. But with this, you kind of really get to test how your visitors are walking through that space. And that sort of information helps you better design the actual physical space itself.
Sure.
Super interesting. Okay. Is there a way to search for specific things in the black box instead of searching them manually?
Not at the moment. It's on the roadmap.
So right now you're using it as just kind of like a tiered navigation system.
Yes, but there's some capability in here. You've got the links that you can see. There's a little home icon in the black box to the far right. Black box at the top on the left of the black box. Return to landing point. But you can click that, and that will take us back to where we landed. I've got points of interest because I'm a huge KTM fan. Then I've only put KTM in there. So let's click on that, and that'll drop us straight into KTM. Street Fighters with style. These are the most stylish bikes you can get. And then you can obviously navigate around. And then once we're en route to adventure bikes, when we arrive, then although I've only got a very terse description, any terrain, any load, obviously you can put a lot more content into that box. But that's pretty much it. The icons at the bottom, we're currently on the navigation capabilities. If I click the chat to an agent on, you see it rotate round.
Yeah.
So I've got different abilities here. And we're planning a lot of additional features to go. The reason it rotates is because we're going to have multiple faces to this. So we'll have brochures in here, additional questionnaires, all sorts of additional things that we're going to layer in. But we've prioritized the sort of receptionist, the video functionality, because we think that adds a lot of value straight off that.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Is it possible to link an AR integration view of products, say for excavators, for virtual trade show booths, things like that? Have you worked with any kind of AR?
The only thing that we're looking at the moment, I guess, I'm not sure if I would call it AR. It's just staging space. So if you had this motorcycle showroom, it could actually, you could scan an empty space, and then you just get models of your motorbikes and pop them in. So that's not ready to go yet, but being able to have a range of products where you have all of the 3D models in a library, and then you would load them all up into the space so that you have basically a blank virgin space, and then you just put in the things that are relevant that month or that week. Visitors can wander around and see those things. If you had an exhibition space, a trade show booth, and you had a particular little gizmo that was sitting on a desk, and you might want to update that gizmo. There's a newer version, so let's just put, let's embed a 3D model of the latest gizmo into the space, and it looks like it's there, but it's not really there. So I wouldn't say that's AR. Would you describe that as AR? It's 3D model, object staging.
I think that's the majority of how I've seen AR used. Some of that, you have a small model and you want to see how it looks in your existing environment. So that, it could be, like you said, something small on a desk, or it could be a piece of furniture.
Or a car.
Or a car. Yeah. Or, KTM motorcycle, see how that works in your garage.
Yeah.
All right. So another question, this one from Samuel, let me bring this over here. If you do have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. But another question here that we got, in a retail setting, live chat feature is only available during so-called the business hours, and otherwise, whom will provide that service 24/7? So do you have the sort of ability for an offsite, if I have, agents who are in different time zones, so that 24/7 I can have coverage? What does that look like for your system? Is it just a matter of hooking them up as an agent? Who cares where they are in the world?
That's pretty much so. And that's really where our call center network comes into play. So they may be there just to cover the normal sort of out of hours time zones around the world. Or we may have different instances in different languages with local language agents connected to those spaces for chat and for video. So we do imagine we would need to provide that extra human capacity to do this. Most companies wouldn't have a team to provide that extended coverage. They may have just business hours and then want it to seamlessly move to a contact center agency support service.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So go ahead.
Sorry, Anna. So on that one, yes, you could have a single estate agent just sitting there on their own doing it. It's just during the hours that they're there, or you could have 400 agents that you've outsourced to that are sitting there. You've got thousands of visitors coming in, and it's all being dealt with by a call center without you having to lift a finger, and anything in between.
It can scale.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Let's see here. So if I have existing tags in my Matterport space already, shoppable with Shopify, a lot of people will do that. They'll have a Matter tag with a link to their Shopify link or their Shopify account or cart, whatever. And so how easy is that to translate these tags to Zuant tags? How do Matterport tags work within the Zuant system, or do I need to create those tags in Zuant instead?
No, it's just fully integrated. I think we have a tag in this space and on one of these bikes. So this one's retro ones has got a tag on it. I can hover on that. Okay, this is just a standard Matterport tag, so we support it out of the box.
And you've got a link there to the website. And once you click on that, it'll, I'm guessing, open up a new tab.
Yeah, so that would just take us through somewhere else. When you open up the Matterport one, then the black box just swings out of the way, so you can see the whole thing. And when you close it, then it will swing back.
Yeah.
So it'll just happily coexist with all of your existing meta tags. Plus, it will record in its activity trail. We've got steps going on, but also when you hover on the tag, when you click on the tag, all of this is being added as activities.
So that is getting recorded.
Yeah, you can see their interaction with the tags as well. So just use your existing spaces with your existing tags, no problem.
Got it. So not just what they're looking at, but also what they're interacting with. Again, just to kind of qualify that lead and what they're most interested in.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Okay. Let's see some other questions here. In the example of a trade show, would each booth need to sign as a client to be a part of this, or the trade show organization or organizer is the one who needs to go after? So do you want to attract, do you want to like talk to the organization doing the whole trade show as a whole, or each individual booth? What's the best approach?
At the moment, it's each individual booth. But as I mentioned earlier, Event Tech Live was the first show where we did the total scan over many hours one evening. So, hopefully organizers as well will come on board. But for some of the big shows like the construction industry, ConExpo, for instance, in Vegas, you probably need Matterport photographers in each hall to cover that and provide the linkage. But, we hope that will come in the future. But at the moment, we're just focusing mainly on each exhibitor that wants to take advantage of this and provide it to their salespeople to use after the show.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? It's in their best interest to get as many leads as they can from that show. The show is doing everything it can to bring people in the door. But yeah, I guess just a different approach.
And I think it's just to get that greatly enhanced return on investment, because if you spend $1 million on your booth for 3 days, well, let's keep that running for 12 months afterwards and get 3 or 4 times the number of leads and be able to share all of that investment over a long period of time. I think it's a win-win. We're not trying to replace the live exhibition. It's a complementary channel to assist to get more return on investment.
Completely mad not to do it. If you spent $1 million.
I agree completely. And I mean, I just think it makes sense because a lot of people, I can think of myself, for example, if I want to go to the CES or Photokina or something like that, just to like see what's coming out. I'm just some guy. I don't have an organization behind me. I'm not, but it'd be cool to see all that stuff. So this would be a really great free way for me to experience that.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you see something you like, then to engage with the receptionist and in a way, it becomes a better experience compared to being there when can be so busy and you can't get people's attention and it's just a one-to-one discussion then over a Matterport scan.
Exactly.
Can't miss your flight.
Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
You can't miss your flight.
You can't,
or have your flight
no risk of
cancelled.
missing flights, no dealing with long lines, crowds. I mean, it'd be more along the type of experience that I would be in for. All right, so it does look like we have a couple of questions that we weren't able to get to. We are just over time, unfortunately. These things do go by fast, so I do apologize to anyone if we did not get to answer your question, but I do thank you very, very much for your time, for asking all these great questions, and for joining us today. And a huge thank you to Pete and Dave. Great presentation, Dave. Really awesome to see that. And Pete, thanks, of course, for joining and sharing, your company, Zuant 3D.
Good, much appreciated.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.